in flames, we know we can always we can always back out. But let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Anyway, good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. We shall make a start now. Let me see what's going on here. Okay. Let's see if we're live on see if we're live on here. We should be live on here. Strange. Good, good. Okay, so we're going to make a start.
Just to check, are we recording? Yes.
We are recording, yeah. Yeah.
Good. Well done.
Yeah, we're gonna make a start, my brother. So, I wouldn't want to be in your chair.
That sounds a bit ominous to me. I don't want to be in my chair either. I should be out and about enjoying myself in this still hot weather down here. 27 degrees.
We haven't got the hot weather here this time. We've got
Have you not? Is it gone?
oh, yeah, we've got a bit of a rain and kind
Oh
of a
no.
gloomy weather. So we haven't got that weather. Not
No.
today. No. Anyway, right. So let's make a start. Welcome to the behind the scene, behind the lyrics,
Behind the
behind the
lyrics, yeah.
lyrics, behind the lyrics. And we have on the hot seat today, we have um, singer, one of the most prolific singer and songwriters you'll ever come across, Trevor Gear. How you feeling today, bro?
Yeah. Say
How,
again.
I said, how are you
How
feeling
am I?
today?
Yeah, I'm a bit dubious, a bit concerned about what you might ask me on this. But as I say, I'm the guinea pig really for this
Well,
new podcast. So
well,
yeah, we'll see how it goes, won't we?
yeah. So I've got three of your songs here.
All right, three.
Now I'll give you a pick.
I thought it was two.
Yeah, well, I'll
That's
give you
not
a pick. I'll give you a pick to narrow it down to which one do you
yeah.
want to go first with. So I've got Lady, I've got
All right.
Cause You're a Woman, and I've got Take a
Yeah.
Ride. Are those the ones
Take you
that you
for a
sent?
ride. Take you
Take you
for
for
a
a
ride.
ride.
Yeah.
Are these the correct ones that you sent, or am I mixing it up?
Well, I only sent you two, but I don't mind you talking. We could talk about Lady as well if you like.
All right, okay, because I've got three. But did you send Cause You're a Lady?
Yeah, I said, because you're a woman
Because you're
and
a woman,
take you
sorry,
for
yeah.
a ride. I've
Right,
sent
okay.
you.
So yeah, all right. So, yeah, so we'll do them too then. Okay,
Yeah,
so which one do you want to go with first?
I don't mind. Let's do the summer road song, which is Take You for a Ride.
Take you
So
for
yeah,
a ride. Take you
take
for a
you
ride.
for a
Yeah,
ride.
it's a really beautiful song. I'm just looking at the lyrics now.
Yeah,
Um, it says, I want to take you for a ride. I'm gonna be the perfect guide. I'm gonna show you things you've never seen. We're gonna drive down the coast, which is a place I love the most. Right, okay, so we're gonna come back to the lyrics in a minute.
yeah.
Now, how do you feel when people actually presume they know what the song is about and they give their own interpretation to your song? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think sometimes people have talked to me about. They might ask what a specific line meant, or they pick something up in the song. And yeah, so it has happened a few times, and I think it's true to say that I guess all of us, when we hear music, we sort of interpret it or we hear what we want to hear maybe in it. But I know in the case, for example, of the Beatles, that they always did say that people have, put meanings on their songs, which
Right,
actually were nothing to do with what the song was about. I mean, an example of that, I think, was I Am the Walrus, which is one
right,
of John Lennon's songs and a great song, but a weird song if you listen to it. The lyrics don't really make too much sense.
yeah,
And a lot of people at the time thought, and since then have thought, well, John Lennon was obviously putting across this sort of message either tacitly or secretively. But actually, when he was ever asked about it, he said, no, it was just what came to me at the time. and I just wanted to put that out there, and he was very much like that. And I guess I don't think my lyrics are unduly confusing in my songs.
No?
Probably open to interpretation sometimes because, yeah, if I'm honest, in some of my songs, I do sometimes put a sort of an innuendo or a double meaning, or
Right.
even a little message. I've always liked that, and I would say possibly in most of my songs, and as I think we said before, I've got about 130 on Spotify and on all of the platforms. But
Yeah.
I think in a good number of them, I do put little, um, not so much messages, but almost an identifying line or something like that. Or when I listen to some of my songs back, I'm a little bit surprised how mischievous some of my lyrics have been,
Yeah.
which I quite like that fact. But some would say they're a little bit. Well, I won't say a word that I was going to say, but they're probably a little bit saucy in some respects. But I quite like that. I quite like double meanings and so on because it takes some writing to do it in the first place. So yeah, I think we all get meanings from songs, don't we? This song, I think, is fairly straight and fairly clear what it's about.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Now, so we've talked about the interpretations that people might give to your songs.
Yeah,
Now, let's now revisit this. Take you for a ride, because it could be misinterpreted, couldn't it? Like, taking somebody for a ride, like taking somebody
yeah,
for granted, or taking the mick out of somebody, uh, which I know what y- that's not what your song is about, because
no,
from
no.
the lyrics, you could actually tell. Now, where was you when you wrote this song? Can you
Where
remember?
was I? Well, I
Yeah,
don't. Well, I do remember because it was just around a year ago I wrote this song, and it related to um, a time probably 3 or 4 years before. You see, what I do when my modus operandi of songwriting, I
yeah,
very rarely would say, right, this week I'm going to sit down on Wednesday afternoon and write a song because the idea of the blank canvas, both with painting, I guess, but also in music, it sounds easy, but it's not. To have nothing to focus on for me is quite difficult to come up with a song. So what I do when I sort of read or even think of or hear someone say something,
mm,
I often think that's a good song title. People around me often hear me say that's a good song title, and I'll make a note of it on my phone. And then, better still, if I get the kind of the first line of a song, and that was very much the case with this. I wrote down at the time, about a year ago, as I say, take you for a ride, but I actually sung it into my phone. I'm going to take you for a ride. And that's all I had. So when I
yeah,
decided, right, I need a few more songs to send into your radio station,
yeah,
that was great because it gave me a good start, actually I was aware that to take someone for a ride you could be deceiving them, couldn't you? But as you
yeah,
say, that wasn't the implication. It was literally going out for a ride in a little sports car I had a few years ago, which was a Mazda MX-5. For anyone who knows those cars, it was an open top convertible, so it was very much a road song idea, this. And I just recalled a situation I had when a woman friend I had who used to come out sometimes with me in that car, and it was kind of based around that it was on the road, a nice loud bit of music playing in the sunshine, and heading off down to the beach, down to the coast, actually to watch a sunrise, which was quite good. Normally we go and watch the sunset, don't we? But anyway, so that's what I did, and yeah, when I sat and wrote the song, I write all of my songs basically in the bedroom. So, and whereas in my living room, which is where I record them, which is this room. So yeah, it's very domestic in terms of where I write the songs. But yeah, my imagination goes on, and sometimes I look at a line I wrote And I think, what did I mean by that? Because the first two lines, I want to take you for a ride. As you read out just now, I'm going to be the perfect guide. I want to show you things you may never have seen. And I
Yeah.
thought, what did I mean by that? I guess it's not a double meaning at all. But
No.
I guess I meant because we went down to Brighton, which is a coastal place about 20 minutes from where I live here. Um, and yeah, and associated places. There's Worthing, there's Shoreham by Sea, great little coastal places. So we did those rides a few times, and really, it summed those rides up. It was in the summer. We stopped for coffee. It was a nice friendship I had with this particular person. So once I got going, and I had that precious first line of a tune, then it flowed. And the time it takes me to write a song, it varies greatly from like maybe a couple of hours to a week because different sessions in the week because I can't quite get it right and so on.
Yeah.
But this one I think wrote itself in a very straightforward way, and it says what it is. It's a road song, but it also talks about, if we look at it a bit further on with the lyrics,
Yeah.
um, let's drive away and hide from all responsibility just for a day to
Yeah.
feel that we'll be free from that responsibility, a feeling we don't feel every day. And I think that's the freedom element of this song, because I don't know what you think in life, whatever our routines, whatever our work, whatever we do, sometimes I think it's important to have a day or two kind of totally away from any pressures on us so we can just regroup, collect our thoughts a bit, and so on. Now, maybe that is difficult for everybody to put into their life. In many
Mm.
ways, it always has been for mine. And when I worked for a living, it was very difficult to do that. But even now, I mean, I'm a very busy person, and I do like to sometimes head down to the one of the coastal places and just either sit on the pier and look at the sea or whatever. It's a great feeling of relaxation, I suppose. I've
Mm.
always had a bit of a love affair with the sea. So yeah, it's a song about freedom. We all need freedom from our stresses, and sometimes I think we get so caught up in our daily routines, we don't always think about just what is happening around us and what we really think about things. So it was that kind of almost escapist element to the song, I would say.
Mm. Mm. Well, when I said, where were you when you wrote it? I was thinking more where you were, but you've actually answered the whole question by telling us where you were mentally.
Well, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Oh, I see. What is that? What
Me-
you meant? Where was
Yeah,
I in life?
yeah.
Oh, right.
But you sort of answered the
Yeah.
where you mentally and physically, which which I was going
I
to
do.
come to.
I do.
Good.
I do always tend to talk too much.
Nah, that's fine.
I'm answering your questions before you're
No, that's
asking
good.
them.
That's
See.
good. Yeah, yeah. Because you have to be in a place mentally to be able to then conjure the right emotions and the right
Yeah.
inspiration, if I can call it that. Um, Now, I believe you've talked about the inspiration as well behind the song, but there's a line that I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick out now.
I bet
It
there is.
says,
Yeah. Go on.
it says, "To be seen with you makes me feel like a king."
Yeah.
Um, where did that come from? To be seen with you makes me feel like a king. Where did I'm getting the feeling that it's sort of like a beauty pageant, you know. You was with you wasn't with Kate Moss or something at the time.
Actually, a very good friend of mine. Not seen him for a while, but he's Kate Moss's uncle. So yeah,
All
he knows
right,
about Kate Moss. But
all
anyway,
right.
um, that's something else. But yeah, it makes me feel like a king. I think it's just the fun of the day and the times that this woman and I went down to the coast in the car or anywhere else in it. It was a great little car. just to focus on that for a minute, this little
Yeah.
MX-5.
Yeah.
Um, I'd never had a convertible sports car. So I
No.
always kind of wanted one. So a few years ago, I was able to get one as a second car. I wouldn't want it as my main because I didn't really know what it would be like. And I have to say, although on a summer's day, the wind is in your hair and all the rest of it, I actually didn't really like it, which sounds a bit of a contradiction. I enjoyed those day trips I had with it,
Hmm.
but I felt, what did I feel? When you're at traffic lights, you feel a bit of an idiot. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that particularly
Literally.
of anyone. I mean, so
Yeah.
I love the look of sports cars. I actually, yeah, they're good. But I remember some two years ago reading about Andy Murray, the tennis player,
Hmm.
and he actually said he bought this Ferrari when he made all his money and all the rest of it. He said, but he realised pretty quickly that when he stopped somewhere to get out and go into a shop, he said everyone was looking probably at the car, right, not knowing necessarily who he was at that stage. He
Hmm.
said, but I felt, I forget the word he used. He said, but I just felt, um, I felt, well, like an idiot. He said, I felt fake. Oh, look at me. I've got this big Ferrari car. And he sold it. He sold it very quickly, I gather. Of course, my car wasn't a Ferrari, and it was great fun in its way. But I just felt it wasn't me really. I didn't want to be sitting next to someone in a car next to me, and they thinking, "Oh, who does he think he is?" sort of thing, which is silly to worry about what other people think. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't so much enjoy the car, but no, yeah, it was a nice feeling if you're out with a friend and you feel good about the day and yeah, you just feel everything's great. I feel like a king and so on. So that's all that really was. I
Hmm.
always like to think that every line in my songs builds towards the story because they are sort of stories. I
Hmm.
don't like to ever put in a line that has no relationship with the song just to make it rhyme. I
Hmm.
try never to do that. So yeah, I want to take you for a ride. With you, I'm full of pride. To be seen with you makes me feel like a king. So
Hmm.
they're just nice, effectively, they're nice compliments to the person you're with. And come rain or come sunshine, the day will be just fine. We were caught more than once when the rain started and I had to get out and put the top up. It wasn't automatic, that top. So that was
No.
interesting as well. But it was a good little car and I had some fun with it while I had it.
Yeah, I love the story behind it already. I'm so intrigued. I'm listening to it. I'm thinking, that's a really good story. Do you ever think of recreating or revisiting or sort of a kind of a reconstructure of yeah, that's the word. Reconstructuring that moment, that the memories, you love it so much, you just want to reconstruct it. Have you ever thought about that?
Not really, not with a sports car. But at the moment, yeah. I mean, I think all of us in life we have our moments, don't we? Which
Yeah.
we life in a way is about moments. We remember the great moments in our lives. Perhaps we don't remember some of the things we might block out, which are not great moments. But life is about the moments. And I don't think I ever think, oh, I'd like to do that again necessarily.
No.
But
No.
sometimes I think if there are things we really liked, they happen again anyway. So,
Yeah.
you
So,
know, um, I think that's how I operate. I don't set out to replicate something. I just end up doing something again if it was good the first time.
yeah. It's a great lyrics, this song. Then Breakfast by the Sea, full English, fine by me. What about you? Then we'll be on our way to make the most of this beautiful day, just you and me. You're such a romantic at heart, aren't you?
I
It's,
think that's quite right. I think
yeah,
I've always been someone who probably it's true to say I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I certainly do in my songwriting. And that chicken and egg really. What came first? Because writing songs usually about real places, real people, real situations, almost always. In fact, I find it almost impossible just to say, well, I'll write a song about something without having a person, a place, an idea, a situation in mind. That's where I function best. So, so yeah, and songwriting to me is a great outlet. As I have to say, as are doing podcasts, because if you think about it, with the two or three podcasts we do, it, we've got a voice. Now, we don't preach. We don't really talk about politics or religion. We talk about things people might come across in their daily lives, things they think, songs, etc., etc. Music is important in most people's lives.
Mm,
So to me, it's a great feeling just to have that outlet, because I'm someone who likes to express myself. I always, as a younger person as well, I wrote poems as well as writing songs, and I did get a poetry book published some years ago. Again, it was me at that time, what my version of life, how I see things. Not saying, aren't I clever? Aren't I always right? No, of course not. We all come from different places,
mm,
but I love the idea of expressing myself. And if there's nice things to say about or to somebody in life, in any from, I think it's good to say. I always think of a phrase. I don't know whether it was my phrase originally or someone else's, but something I've always felt is that praise and thanks are debts that need to be paid. You
mm,
know, if there's something good about somebody in their life, or you come across, you work with them, whatever, sometimes, I'm not saying it in any sycophantic way, but it's just nice to acknowledge that someone does a really good job at something, you know, or you like that part of their friendship or whatever. So to me, again, it's part of me expressing myself. And I think anybody who's creative in
mm,
any way um, has a need to do it. You know, I'm fortunate to have my songs played on your radio station every day,
mm,
and on a few others around the world, because I have a lady in Scotland who promotes some of the songs as well.
mm,
And that's a nice feeling, to think that somewhere in Australia, someone's listening to something I've created. And
mm,
that's the thing I think about songwriting or poems. It's a nice feeling for anyone creative to think, I created that from nothing. Well, of course, it's not nothing, because you could argue that everything in all walks of life is a derivation of something else. And
mm,
certainly with music, everybody has influences. If you go talk to any well-known music people, they will say, "Oh yeah, well I was influenced by, you know, some American blues artist or whatever." So everything is a bit derived, and you put your own interpretation, and your own style on it. So I
mm,
can't say I create something from nothing. The
mm,
basis of music is there, and I lean into that and put my own interpretation on it. But it's still a nice feeling to write a song which wasn't there before.
mm,
And I know, for example, that a lot of my songs, oh, I hope they are anyway, are in your head, because
mm.
some of them involve you in them as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, it
And
does.
it's
Yeah.
like, and some of your songs, because I know you have plenty of songs as well, are in
Mm,
my head because you created those. And yeah, they live. That's one of the nice things about writing music. They live in
yeah,
other people's heads.
I do.
And that to me is a, so even if I didn't get on the radio or achieve anything else, I would still want to. I've always wanted to write. It's something I could never really stop doing, whatever the situation. So
Mm.
yeah, I think writing songs, writing poems is a great one for anybody who wants to express themselves, and as I say, who wears their heart on their sleeve.
Mm, okay. So the next one is a short. So there's two questions. The next one is short and the other one is a bit extended. It just needs elaboration. And now the first one is, you know how you said, which came first, the egg or the
The
chicken?
chicken.
Ah, okay. Now with this song, Take You for a Ride, what came first, the lyrics or the music, the beats?
Well, as I said, I'd hummed into my phone, and that's always a bit dicey, or it can be, because I do get ideas when I get up in the night. If I do to the loo,
Mm,
which I usually do once or twice, sometimes, not every time, but sometimes I find there's a tune in my head. It just seems to be there.
Mm.
So I've learned long since to grab my phone before I sort of get back into bed and fall asleep again and hum this tune into the phone. And I, I used to do this only to be confounded the next morning when I thought, oh, that was a great tune I came up with. Let
Mm.
me just play it. And what you hear is what sounds like some drunk man who's fast asleep. And he's, oh, and I think, what was I trying to do? Because even tired, I like to think I can still make a tune in my own mind and, express that. But so I learned if I get a tune in overnight, I have to
Yeah.
sort of actually wake myself up and then seriously try and sing a first line into the phone. But that's what I had done with I want to take you for a ride. And
Yeah.
I simply had that first line, I want to take you for a ride. That's all I had. And it's so helpful to have that because you build it from there. Because it's actually to actually sort of it's interesting to almost self-analyze how do I come up with a tune.
Mm.
And once I've got an idea, certainly including a title or a lyric,
Mm.
often a tune will flow from that. I mean, another song we'll look at another week is one called Discombobulated, and that's simply a word. I always liked I don't know why, but I like odd words, and I like discombobulated, which and it wasn't lost on me. The first five letters are disco, so I thought, yeah, discombobulated. That'll make a good song title. So I had that written down in my book as a future song. So when I came to write that, the first line then came as soon as I saw the title. Every time I see you, I get discombobulated, and I then built it around a McDonald's, which occasionally I used to go in.
Yeah.
And one of the young ladies who used to serve me, she was very sweet. I forget her name now, but she always was really sweet and friendly. And so I sort of built the story around her, but using the word discombobulated because it's a great
Oh.
word. It means what sometimes we all are. We all get confused, don't we, with things happening around us.
Yeah.
And discombobulated, that's really what it means. And also, it was a great challenge to write a song. I like a challenge to write a song with an almost impossible title because I think it's got six syllables, discombobulated. That's not easy, although once I started, it did flow pretty quickly.
Mm.
So yeah, as far as Take You for a Ride, I had that first line. Another example, I know we're not going on to the other songs, but
Yeah.
was a more recent one, I think late last year, was called Red Thread Connection.
Right. Yeah. I
And
remember
again,
that.
I simply had, I'd read about string theory and the song by Taylor Swift. I forget what it's called, but it's about a string, meaning the same thing. There's something that connects people through the generations, through time, through history, and
Mm.
there's nothing we can do about that link unless the link is broken somewhere down the line.
Mm.
Um, and I just when I was thinking about red thread connection, the first line. Um, we got a red thread connection and it's yours and it's mine. And again, I recorded that and wrote the song probably 3 months later when I needed an idea.
Mm.
So that's how I come up with the ideas. And yeah, I liked the idea of, as I say, taking someone for a ride, basing it on actual events. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's
good.
me. I
Yeah.
wear my heart on my sleeve.
Well, you should. Right. So now the next question is it's a bit connected. Do you think it's not compulsory to have, but do you think not mandatory, but do you think it's an advantage to actually be able to feel what you write? And I'll give you an example. So, um, some people would write a song based on a heartbreak that they've
Yeah.
experienced either recently or um, and some people would just write based on just their imagination. Now, which one would you prefer? Writing based on your imagination or writing from within you, from, what you feel, how you feel. Which one do you
Yeah,
think is more better?
and within you, but also from your experience. Well,
Mm,
I I've always written from experience and from it in feelings inside because,
mm,
again, I suppose I tend to write. I kind of hope I write with a passion that
mm,
does express things that are inside. I mean, I was divorced a few years ago after quite a long marriage, and it was a tough time. It was. Looking back now, it's very much consigned to the bins of history and experience. You know, you go through these things, which maybe you wouldn't have expected to happen.
mm,
But I believe I've got a couple of songs amongst all my songs which do bear some relation to what it felt like. I think one of them, can't remember the title of it, it's on Spotify and etc. But one of them says, "Despite what happened, I wish you love and light." So it was kind of a very conciliatory kind of song. Whereas another one, I've not heard them for a long time, but another one basically said, "How do you sleep at night?" Now, in saying that, I see, I shouldn't say that because that suggests I'm putting the blame on the other party, and I'm not. You know, it's not what I do.
no.
You know, it takes two to tangle, as they say, isn't it? And when a marriage goes wrong, a long marriage, I mean, we've got two children grown up.
Mm,
It's always sad. No one wants that situation. But looking back now, I never thought I would say it at the time, but I think it was probably the best thing that happened to me because we did get married young, and by and large, it was a successful marriage until it wasn't. But I learned a lot about it. You learn a lot about yourself, how you cope in very stressful situations.
mm,
Anyway, the point is, songs came out of that, two particular songs, but I think because it opened up other opportunities for me of meeting other people, learning more about myself in relationships,
mm,
then that was great because it really has fed into my songwriting. I wouldn't, if I'd stayed married, I would never have written probably, well, three-quarters of the songs I've written since that time.
mm,
And so I've learned, I've had new experiences and a lot more feelings than I would have had if I'd stayed married. So I look back now and um, I think it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But I would never have said that at the time because, as anyone who's been divorced and gone through that, you know, it's a pretty tough road to walk.
mm,
But yeah, I wouldn't reverse it if I had the chance, and I felt like that for quite a long time.
mm,
So yeah, these things feed into what you are, what I am, and because I mean, I'm a Pisces. I'm not great into astrology, but
yeah.
you know, horoscopes don't interest me at all. But characteristics do often tally with your star sign, your
Mm,
sun sign. And I'm a fairly typical Piscean, a romantic, creative, and all those sort of things. Probably a bit intense, sometimes passionate,
mm,
and no doubt some faults as well. I only list the positives there, you see. But but yeah, I'm a very typical Pisces person, and I like that. I quite like that about me that I'm able to talk about feelings. A lot of men don't and can't,
mm. No.
but some can, it was strange actually because in my marriage, and it was a good marriage for the most part, my then wife, she was more of the male characteristic of not really wanting to talk too much. She said, "No, let's just do things and not talk about them, don't analyze them." Whereas I
Mm,
thought, well, if there's a problem, let's talk about it. But that's another story, and neither are wrong. I think there's pros and cons on both sides of that. But I think I tend to be more what might be considered the female approach, where
mm,
if I have a problem, I want to talk about it, I want to sort it out and deal
mm,
with it.
mm,
Whereas I know a lot of people don't. So
mm.
yeah, it all feeds into my songwriting.
Yeah. No, it's just the reason why I asked that is because you look at if you follow comedians and if you're following a comedian from their early, the early years in their career, sometimes what they're going through is what they talk about.
Mm,
For instance, if they're single, they'll talk about meeting women and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I met this girl," and make a comedy out of it. And then they get married. And then he
yeah,
changes, don't he? They then start
yeah,
talking, oh, my wife, she said this the other day. All right. So he gets from the girlfriend. And then when the kids come in, straight away, they've got more materials to talk about then,
yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
the only reason
Yeah,
why I asked that. I just
yeah.
thought, does it, this is the same for songwriters? I know it's like that for comedians, but is it the same for songwriters? But you've answered that. This is all we've got time for on on Behind the Lyrics. on,
That went quick.
on Behind the Lyrics, we've really enjoyed having to listen to how or the story behind Take You for a Ride. So it's not actually in the derogatory way of taking somebody for a ride, but it's actually in a nice way of actually going for a ride and having a really good time. So thanks for that, Trevor Gear. So if you want to find where to listen to that song, it's everywhere on most of the platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. There's loads
Even
of it.
YouTube as well. There's a lyric video on YouTube as well.
Yeah, and there's a lyric video on YouTube as well. Is it part of an album? Just the last question, sorry.
Yes, it is. It's actually part of an album called Precious Moments,
Right.
and that was released through yourselves and onto Spotify in August 25 last year.
That's it. Yeah. So
So it's
yeah,
part of Precious Moments.
yeah. So Take You for a Ride is part of an album, I believe a five-piece song album called Precious Moments. So you want to give that a listen. So I've been Emmy Hikins, and you've been listening to the and watching, obviously, listening and watching Behind the Lyrics. It's a new show. So if you do want to get involved, you're a songwriter, singer, get involved. Come and tell us how you wrote your song, the story behind it. We've heard Trevor Gear's one. Next week, we shall be looking at yet another song of Trevor Gear's called Because You're a Woman.
Yeah, that could be
He's always
interesting. That one.
he's always towing the line. He's always towing the line, our Trevor Gear.
I should be very nervous of your questions on that one.
So it's a
We'll
goodbye.
see.
Yeah, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me too.
Ah.